Well, there you go, my lord. I thought I'd have the final voice there with our improvised set of variations on the theme of Paganini, the great 10-second acoustic of St. John the Divine. I'm in a beautiful garden here, my brother-in-law's house. We're spending a few days here in Rye, New York. And as you can see, it's gorgeous. Although here in the US, they call it the backyard. I can never understand that because, you know, in England, a yard is kind of where you put the rubbish bins, or as they say over here, the trash cans and all the, you know, the brooms and all that sort of stuff. But here, this is the backyard. They don't really call it a garden, but it's
backyard. Yeah, it's a nice backyard actually.
It's an absolutely beautiful. And you're in Valletta, Wayne, at the moment.
Actually, today I'm actually not in Valletta. I'm actually in Palermo.
Okay.
And there's a kind of thunderstorm going on here at the moment, which is very interesting. So I'm sitting by the window so that I can actually get some natural daylight. But yeah, it's very interesting at the moment to actually watch.
What are you doing in Palermo, actually?
I'm here because I'm conducting an outdoor concert. It's actually on Friday evening with the Teatro Massimo Orchestra, program of Leonard Bernstein and Gershwin. So it's very interesting, you know, having to rehearse outdoors, actually on the stage, because of course, it's social distancing. They can't rehearse with an orchestra of this size in the theatre, even though it's a very big stage, but they can't because of the social distancing. So the only way they could do it was by having the rehearsals outside, which is not great, but anyway, it's better than nothing. So we would start at 7:30 in the evening and finish at 11.
Wonderful. So I bet it's wonderful for you to be in front of an orchestra again, and wonderful for them to have this communal experience with this such great music, Gershwin and Bernstein and so on. Fantastic.
Yeah. They've got, you know, it's nice to be, you know, again in front of an orchestra and so many people again, and it feels like we never left, but still we're all aware that things are very different. You know, I mean, you know, quite a few of the musicians wear masks, and you know, so
is that right?
Oh, quite a few of them, yes. Yeah. String players, you know, particularly.
There's a great new mask that I just bought, actually. It came yesterday. I'll just show it you. What do you think of this? It's my Parisian mask with the Eiffel Tower and a croissant and a little bicyclette there. And yeah, I get some interesting looks in New York wearing this, I can tell you.
I'm sure it does, yeah.
But, so we've just improvised this piece on that great famous theme by Paganini. And I think you improvised your variations about 3 days before and then kindly sent them over on carrier pigeon. And they arrived at our apartment in New York. And I sort of looked at them and measured out the sort of salient qualities and the tonalities, and then went into the cathedral on the 9th of July and had my Mac on the organ console and listened to your variations one by one, and then slotted mine in. But 9th of July is quite an important day. It's for two reasons. It was actually the 96th birthday of Pierre Cochereau, who I guess has been the huge influence on me as a musician, and he was organist of Notre Dame until his death at the age of only 59 in 1984. But he was born on the 9th of July, 1924. And Wayne, I think your mum as well.
My mother also had her birthday on the 9th of July in 1939. She passed away in December 2016. So it was actually very, very interesting. No, that's okay. I had no idea, that Pierre Cochereau was born on the 9th of July. So it was very interesting, actually, also to make the improvisation on the 9th of July.
Absolutely.
And and in fact, in addition to the Paganini variations, I also went later to the cathedral and recorded a happy birthday tribute to my mother. So that was very, very interesting. So really, really, really enjoyed that. But it was really
terrific. Well, Cochereau, I mean, I never met Pierre in person, only through music in a way, through spirit, because I spent about 11 years transcribing some of his very famous improvisations at Notre Dame. And so inevitably, if you do that, you really get inside somebody's psyche. And so I feel quite close to him in spirit in a way. And but your mum, I guess you did meet her.
Oh, well, yes, I think so.
Quite a few times, I suppose. Yeah. Wayne, tell us about the organ in St. Paul's Cathedral in Valletta.
Well, the organ actually was originally built by the English company Rushworth and Draper. I don't exactly know when it was built, but anyway, it's been there. And when I arrived in the island, what was it, 2005? Obviously, you know, I've discovered the cathedral. It's actually just around the corner from where we are. And I mean, it wasn't in great shape then, really. It wasn't in, you know, there's nothing really to speak about. The console was up in a gallery above and so on. And the organ case, which is a kind of a replica copy of an English classic English case in, I think it was probably Chester Cathedral or so, Emmanuel College, I think, if I'm right in my information. And the case was really not looking great, and as I said, you know, the organ was nothing special. But anyway, in 2013, the Irish company Kenneth Jones, or rather Derek Byrne, who now owns the company, rebuilt the organ and they added a lot of new stops. They revoiced things. They changed the principal chorus on the grate. In fact, new part work for that. Revoiced some of the reeds. For instance, the great trumpet is now more like a fanfare trumpet, which is, you know, it's on a small scale, but, you know, there's a very biting character to it. Not many mutations. Only one mutation on the organ, which was originally the sesquialtura, which is on the positive. And yeah, they just basically went through and you know, revoiced it, revoiced it all, put a new console, which is now the one that we see on the video downstairs, and that's a movable console, so that, you know, if we want to have a concert and, you know, it can be moved to the front of the, yeah, very, very good. So all in all, it's very flexible, and the amazing thing about the organ, it only has 33 speaking stops, of which there are 3 which are not actually speaking at the moment, because they need, the pipe work needs to be added at a certain date.
They're still off in rehearsal, those pipes. Yeah,
they're off rehearsing.
They might come. Perhaps they'll come in after COVID, I guess.
Yeah, maybe, yes, after COVID.
All these pipes wearing their masks, and I hope they're keeping their social distance like we are. You know?
Of course, yes, that's it. That's the that's the idea. Yeah, they're keeping their. But, you know, I mean, it's a very interesting instrument, and of course, since this whole COVID situation, of course, I've been playing it a lot, because, as I said, you know, it's basically thanks to the chancellor there. The chancellor is more like the dean of the cathedral, but it's chancellor because it's under a different diocese in Malta. Simon Godfrey, who's a real, you know, a very interesting guy, actually, you know, very, very musical, and, you know, comes from, of course, you know, his English, but. You know, he always said to me that, you know, I could go and practice anytime, because, I mean, you know, even though churches were out of bounds for organists and musicians and congregations, I mean, you know, we've been very lucky because we've actually been able to have these, you know, I've been able to have these regular recitals, which I broadcast on Facebook. And also we recorded some masses as well, you know, starting with Palm Sunday. So it was really interesting, you know, being there on a weekly basis doing these things.
It's wonderful, wonderful. Well, you make the organ sound absolutely amazing. I mean, it sounds fantastically exciting. It's probably where you've got the microphones as well, I guess. Where did you?
Well, the microphones as well. Yeah, I mean, I've got a very tall stand, and I've put the mics are quite close to the instrument. I use a pair of Neumann KM183 omnidirectional microphones for the main part of the instrument, and then on the west side, the pedal organ, including the trombone 16, speaks quite prominently. So I've got a pair of cardioids on that section, so it just gives a bit more definition to the pedal, and probably makes it sort of bigger than it really is in the concert. So yeah, so it's been fun, and of course, as I said, you know, being there, I've really gotten to know the instrument in a way that I would probably never have done if I was traveling. So it's been good.
I mean, it certainly looks like a magnificent case in a really very, very beautiful building. It's sort of neoclassical, is that right? I mean, I googled the cathedral and saw some photographs. It reminded me, actually, the nave particularly of the cathedral in Birmingham, where I was a choir boy for 3 years, and with those Corinthian columns, and it looks really a very beautiful building. So St. John the Divine, on the 15th, I suppose actually the 14th of April last year, Palm Sunday, we had a fire, which, I mean, it was very contained in the crypt, just less than 24 hours before that enormous inferno that devastated Notre Dame in Paris. But nevertheless, our fire, unfortunately, produced quite a bit of smoke. At the time, they thought it was somebody was using a new type of incense. Little did they know. But the fire department were fantastic. They were there in like 15 minutes or less and extinguished the fire. But unfortunately, there was a lot of smoke damage, some of which has gone into our great Aeolian Skinner Opus 150A organ. So that's out for cleaning at the moment. And of course, we miss it terribly. It's coming back along with the very famous state trumpet on the West End. We're coming back, we hope, Easter Day 2021. But in the meantime, we're using this amazing digital organ by Walker Technical Company. And I mean, it's by far the best digital organ I think I ever played. I mean, of course, it's in a 10-second acoustic, which doesn't do it any harm, but I think they spent nearly a week setting it up, and, you know, the amplification systems and the speakers are all very, very high end. And we're really enjoying it. I think it's interesting as we move further forward into the 20th century, how digital organs are getting slowly closer to the original. And, you know, if you use the kind of stops, the sort of registration is very important, I think. I mean, I remember about 10 years ago, we had a conversation about this, and I remember you saying, well, I never go by what it says on the stop knobs or on the specification or convention in the score. I always use my ears. Isn't that right? Do I remember that right?
You're right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I mean, the thing that's so unique about the pipe organ is that every pipe organ is different.
Right.
And that's the thing. I mean, you know, the organ of Notre Dame, of course, sounds very different from the organ of St. John the Divine, and St. John the Divine sounds very different from the organ in St. Paul's Anglican Cathedral in Valletta. So, you know, you have to sort of, you know, just basically treat it like an individual musical instrument and register it for that particular instrument. Don't try to make it sound like anything. Just make that instrument sound good. Yeah. And
I think, don't you think that's really what makes us all sound slightly different to each other, is the registrations that we use, and also the touch. I mean, one of the things that I'm kind of blown away by always when I watch your playing and hear your playing is your incredible dexterity and velocity. Where did that come from, Wayne? Do you have great teachers, or is that just through practice? I mean, you know, it's wonderful to watch.
But it's a combination of both. Because I mean, I'm a pianist. I mean, that's where it all started. I mean, I'm, you know, basically a pianist. And I then started to play the organ. So, you know, I had some very good piano teachers, and I think that this is the most important. You know, having a really good, solid piano technique. You know, so bringing that to the organ for me was, you know, obviously a huge asset.
So how did you acquire this great technique then? Was this through doing Hanon and Czerny, or learning the repertoire, and what kind of inputs did your teachers have?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of studies, but also a lot of hours and hours of practicing. You can probably hear the thunder going up.
Amazing.
Big lightning here. Yeah, big time. So a lot of practicing, you know, and you know, just hard work, and I suppose, you know, having very strict teachers who, you know, really made me work hard, but I enjoyed it. See, this is the thing. I always knew that this is what I wanted to do, and I knew that, you know, if you worked hard, then this would
That's wonderful. And when I'm sure you're like me, that, you know, when you were a kid, you preferred to improvise at the piano. I mean, my piano teachers went bananas that I wouldn't be practicing my scales properly. You know, I used to like reinvent the fingering of my scales, like at every lesson. Every lesson it was different, kind of, because I wouldn't practice properly. And
that's it.
You know,
not using the thumb, of course. Never using the thumb.
Of course, yes. But I mean, was it the same for you? Did you used to improvise a lot as a kid? And where do you think your facility in improvisation came from?
I think it was because you know, obviously like you know, I mean, I used to listen to my mother. My mother was a pianist, and she, you know, she'd always playing, and then I used to listen to her, And of course, going to church, listening to the hymns and so on. And my father used to bring the organist around to our house every week to go through the music. So of course, I was hearing all this sound. I wanted to play like this guy. I wanted to be, to do everything. So improvisation, I suppose, was just a natural way of my introduction to music. And obviously, I just know that perfect pitch. Yep. And so all these things that just facilitated me to absorb. I was like a sponge, basically.
I think improvising, I mean, I've always felt that it's real music making, because it's really you, isn't it? I mean, you're not interpreting what somebody else has written. It's, if you've got a good ear, a quick oral facility and a good technique, then it's kind of a reflection on a good day. I mean, it's not always marvelous, but when the stars are in alignment and when you're comfortable with the instrument and you're... Whoa!
Did you hear that?
That was fantastic. I love that. Well, I think we'll put that on a loop. I think that's right over. You might find that the organ of St. Paul's Cathedral, Valletta, doesn't work anymore.
But I'm not doing. I'm not in Valletta.
So. Oh, you're in Palermo. Good job.
I'm in Palermo.
Oh, that was really quite impressive. It was either that or maybe it was a truck colliding with a lamppost outside your apartment. I don't know. One of the two.
That was very, very close. Wow. Yeah.
Wayne, it's been great to have this chat. And I just wanted to do a little quick plug. This video that we posted last week of our duo improv from Blackburn Cathedral, we've been raising some funds for helpmusicians.co.uk. Was it .org? Anyway, I'll put the link on after this video. But very happily, it's raised over £1,700 so far.
Fantastic!
Isn't that marvelous?
Wonderful.
And so, if people would like to contribute again as a result, if you enjoy this Paganini variations, then please do so. We're hoping to raise at least £3,000, at least. And there's about another 10 days, 2 weeks to go, I think. So thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen, for your generosity. We really appreciate it. It's for musicians in the UK whose lives have been completely overturned, I mean, emotionally and financially, by this awful time that we're in at the moment. So this is just our way of really trying to help, and
absolutely
invite you to give very generously. Wayne, it's great to see you, and we'll see you soon.
And you too.
You stay well.
And you too, Doctor. Ciao.
Good job. I'm good at editing these videos.
Yeah, you're right. But it's when they come. Oh, yeah, here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really getting going. Wow. Tonight's rehearsal is going to be very interesting.
Let's put it on the map here. Let's have a look. National weather. Palermo, here we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you're enduring, Doctor, at the moment.
Yes, it's really. Just, yeah. Anyway, Doctor, yes, well, listen, I hope that I think these videos that we've made are really fantastic.
It's kind of a reflection on a good day. I mean, it's not always marvelous, but when the stars are in alignment and when you're comfortable with the instrument and you're... Whoa!
Did you hear that?
That was fantastic. I love that. Well, I think we'll put that on a loop. I think that when you're comfortable with the instrument and you're... Whoa!
Did you hear that?
That was fantastic. I love that. Well, I think we'll put that on a loop. I think that when you're comfortable with the instrument and you're... Oh,
did you hear that?
that was fantastic. I love that. Well, I think we'll put that on a